Delaware and Maryland, two mid-Atlantic states, share a coastline along the Atlantic Ocean and the Chesapeake Bay. Yet, their geographies differ in notable ways. Let's compare both in the latest State Comparison Series episode. Being within the Mid-Atlantic region, both Delaware and Maryland have colorful and unique histories. Delaware, known as the first state, was the first to ratify the U.S. Constitution in 1787. Originally inhabited by indigenous groups like the Lenape and Nanticoke, it was first colonized by the Dutch in 1631 and followed by the Swedes in 1638, who established Fort Christina where present-day Wilmington is. The British took control in 1664, incorporating Delaware into Pennsylvania before it became a separate colony in 1704. Due to its convenient location and thriving ports, Delaware played a significant role in early American trade and politics. Though a slave state, it remained in the Union during the Civil War and later became a hub for industry and banking, shaping its modern economy. Maryland, founded in 1634 as an exclusive colony by Cecil Calvert, the second Lord Baltimore, was established as a haven for English Catholics facing persecution. Named after Queen Henrietta Maria, it became one of the original 13 colonies. Maryland's economy thrived on tobacco plantations worked by enslaved laborers, and its location made it a key player in colonial trade. During the American Revolution, it contributed significantly to the war effort and later ceded land for the creation of Washington, D.C. As a border state during the Civil War, Maryland was divided in its loyalties but remained in the Union. In the 20th and 21st centuries, it developed into a hub for government, biotechnology, and maritime industries, benefiting from its proximity to the nation's capital. In today's State Comparison Series episode, we are going to compare Delaware and Maryland. The video focuses on both the physical geography and the human geography. In terms of physical geography, we will review three main factors: geomorphology, meteorology, and ecology, while with human geography, we will review four main factors: the demography, urbanization, economy, and geopolitics. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to my channel, Our World, Our Planet, Our Home, if you enjoy learning about the Earth. Let's get started. Starting with physical geography, let's focus first on geomorphology. Both Delaware and Maryland are coastal states, but differ quite a bit in topography. Delaware is 2,489 square miles, making it the second smallest state in land size after Rhode Island. Because of its size and coastal location, Delaware isn't very mountainous at all. In fact, the highest peak, Ebright Azimuth, is only 448 feet, making it the second lowest highest elevation of any U.S. state after Florida. Pretty much, the state is located on a coastal plain and has maritime borders with the Delaware River, Delaware Bay, and the Atlantic Ocean. Maryland is a small state, ranked 42nd in land area, at a size of 12,407 square miles. Because of its larger size, Maryland is geologically more diverse than Delaware. Likewise, areas closer to the Chesapeake Bay and Atlantic Ocean are situated on the same coastal plain Delaware is on, with elevations there less than 100 feet. But further westward and inland, Maryland's elevation starts to gradually increase to over 1,000 feet. The highest elevation is Hoy Crest in the Appalachians bordering West Virginia, at an elevation of 3,360 feet. Meteorologically, Delaware and Maryland feature temperate climates, but both have notable differences. Due to Delaware's low elevation and coastal location, the whole state is classified climatically as humid subtropical, with hot and humid summers and cool damp winters with occasional snow. Like other East Coast states, Delaware is susceptible to tropical cyclones during the late summer and early autumn, but since it's geographically tucked into the coastline, direct strikes are rare. Tornadoes, while not too common, can affect the state, and an EF3 tornado in April 2023 was Delaware's most intense ever. On the coastline, Maryland is climatically like Delaware, featuring a humid subtropical climate with hot and humid summers and cool to mild damp winters. Right along the immediate coast, communities such as Ocean City receive less than 12 inches of snow a year. But inland, things change dramatically. Northwest of Baltimore in Washington, elevation plus the lack of an oceanic effect makes communities such as Frederick and Hagerstown more extreme. Summers there are still hot and humid, but winters are usually colder and snowier, although not as much as places such as in New England, thanks to its more southern latitude. However, communities closer to Hoy Crest, such as Oakland, are quite snowy, with average yearly accumulations over 100 inches. Ecologically, Delaware and Maryland share diverse ecosystems, from the Atlantic coastal marshes to the Chesapeake Bay estuaries and inland forest. The Chesapeake Bay, vital to both states, supports blue crabs, oysters, and migratory birds along the Atlantic Flyway. The Delmarva Peninsula's wetlands and pine forests provide crucial habitats for wildlife. Inland, mixed deciduous forests sustain deer, foxes, and amphibians. However, agriculture and urbanization threaten water quality, particularly in the Chesapeake Bay. Conservation efforts, including oyster reef restoration and wetland protection, aim to preserve biodiversity and maintain ecological balance. On the human geography, let's start with demography. Delaware has a total population of 1,051,917 people, ranking at 45th nationwide. But its small size makes the state have a population density of 500 people per square mile, the 6th highest. In the last half century, Delaware's population has doubled. This is due to the fact that the state has a favorable tax climate, including no sales tax, affordable housing, and a strong job market. In addition, the state is in close proximity to major cities such as Philadelphia and Baltimore. Racially, Delaware is a majority white state with 60.4%, and overwhelmingly, blacks make up the largest minority group at 23.9%, followed by Hispanics and Asians at 10.1% and 4.2%. Ethnically, Germans, Irish, and English make up the top three groups with 16%, 15%, and 13%. Maryland has a total population of 6,263,220 people, ranking at 18th nationwide, and its population density is 632 people per square mile, 5th in the nation. The state's population has also grown in the last half century, especially in and around the Washington area. This is due to a strong job market in both the federal governmental and private sectors. Racially, Maryland is a majority minority state since whites make up 49.8% of the population and minority groups make up the remainder. Blacks are the largest minority group at around 30%, while Hispanics and Asians make up 10.6% and 6.4%. Ethnically, Germans, Irish, and English make up the largest groups at 15%, 11%, and 8%. Urbanization patterns in Delaware and Maryland are considerably different. Delaware, while densely populated, lacks a major city, with Wilmington being the largest with around 71,000 residents. The city is part of the Delaware Valley metropolitan area, also known as Greater Philadelphia, and its adjacent suburbs are also part of it. Dover, Delaware's capital, is ranked second in population with 39,400 residents. Rounding out the top 5 communities in population are Newark, Middletown, and Smyrna. Although Delaware doesn't have any major cities, it's in a convenient location within the Northeast megalopolis. This also helps shape the state's transportation network, especially in the more populated northern part of the state. There, I-95, also known as the Delaware Turnpike, traverses the Wilmington area, and so does Amtrak's Northeast Corridor train line. But other than that, central and southern Delaware only have U.S. and state highways connecting communities. And Dover is one of the 5 state capitals without an interstate. In addition, Delaware is the only U.S. state without an international airport, but it's in relatively close proximity to Philadelphia International Airport and Baltimore-Washington International Airport. Maryland's largest city is Baltimore, which has a current population of around 586,000 residents. But 75 years ago, in 1950, the city had close to 1 million people. Like other eastern and midwestern cities, Baltimore saw significant deindustrialization during the 1960s and the 1970s, and this led to people moving to its surrounding suburbs. Also, crime rates rose considerably, and today, Baltimore has some of the highest crime rates out of U.S. major cities. Columbia, a planned community established in 1967, is Maryland's second largest city with nearly 105,000 residents. Rounding out the top 5 cities are Germantown, Waldorf, and Silver Springs, a major suburb of Washington, D.C. The state's largest metropolitan area is the Washington-Baltimore Combined Statistical Area, and overlapping of both cities' metropolitan areas, with 10 million residents. Annapolis, Maryland's state capital, has only 41,000 residents, making it the 8th smallest in population. Maryland is traversed by multiple highways, including interstates such as I-95, I-70, I-81, I-83, I-495, also known as the Capital Beltway, and multiple other auxiliary interstates. The state is home to only one international airport, which is BWI. Economically, both Delaware and Maryland have diversification in key sectors. Delaware has a state GDP of $91.3 billion and a per capita income of around $87,000 a year, on the higher side compared to other states. Delaware's economy is notably diverse, with sizable contributions from agriculture, industry, and commerce. Agriculture remains a vital sector, with approximately 90% of farms being family-owned, producing commodities such as poultry, soybeans, and corn. The insurance and finance industries are particularly prominent, contributing to $17.6 billion to the state's GDP. Additionally, Delaware's strategic location and business-friendly environment have fostered growth in sectors such as banking, chemical manufacturing, and technology, further strengthening its economic landscape. Companies headquartered in Delaware include DuPont, a multinational chemical corporation, Navient, a financial services firm specializing in student loans, InterDigital, a technology research and development company, and WSFS Bank, the oldest and largest locally managed bank and trust company in the state. Maryland has a state GDP of $539 billion and a per capita income of nearly $90,000 a year, which is among the highest of all states. Maryland's economy is multifaceted, with key sectors including government, finance, insurance, real estate, and professional services. The state is a leader in industries of the future, such as vaccine development, medical technologies, quantum computing, and next-generation military defense systems. The state's convenient location near Washington, D.C. contributes to a strong federal job market, bolstering its economic standing. Maryland hosts several prominent companies, including Lockheed Martin, a leading aerospace and defense contractor headquartered in Bethesda, Marriott International, a global hospitality company also headquartered there, McCormick & Company, a renowned spice and flavoring manufacturer, and Constellation Energy, a major energy provider. On the geopolitics, Delaware and Maryland were 2 of the original 13 colonies, and both did vote in the very first presidential election in 1788 and 89. During the first 20 years of the 19th century, Delaware voted exclusively for Federalist candidates. Delaware was a slave state throughout the Civil War, but did not join the Confederacy, and during the later half of the 19th century, the state voted more for Democratic presidential candidates than Republicans. Throughout a good portion of the 20th century, the state went back and forth between Republican and Democratic candidates, but in 1992, it gave its electoral votes to winning Democratic candidate Bill Clinton. And since then, the state has remained safely blue in federal elections. Southernmost Sussex County, however, tends to vote red, and did in the 2024 election between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. In the U.S. Senate, Delaware has 2 Democratic senators, Chris Coons and Lisa Blunt Rochester, and in the House of Representatives, 1 Democrat, Sarah McBride, who became the first openly transgender congressman. On the state level, Delaware has a Democratic governor, Matt Meyer, who was elected in 2024. Maryland, unlike Delaware, voted for Democratic-Republican candidates during the first 20 years of the 19th century. But similarly, during the Civil War, Maryland was a slave state who chose not to join the Confederacy. This move was heavily pushed by President Abraham Lincoln because if Maryland joined the Confederacy, Washington, D.C. would have been cut off from the Union due to being surrounded by Maryland and Virginia. Maryland abolished slavery in 1864 through a new state constitution, before the 13th Amendment was passed. Through the end of the 19th century, Maryland voted more for Democratic presidential candidates, and through the 20th century, went back and forth between the two parties. Then, in 1992, like Delaware, Maryland voted for Democratic presidential winner Bill Clinton, and since then, has become a dependably blue state in federal elections. In the U.S. Senate, Maryland has 2 Democratic senators, Chris Van Hollen and Angela Alsobrooks, and in the House of Representatives, 7 Democrats and 1 Republican. On the state level, Maryland has a Democratic governor, Wes Moore, the first black governor of the state, who was elected in 2022. While Delaware and Maryland share a coastal Mid-Atlantic location and deep historical roots, their geographies, economies, and demographics set them apart. Delaware, a smaller yet densely populated state, thrives on business-friendly climates and proximity to major metropolitan areas. Maryland, with its diverse landscapes from the Chesapeake Bay to the Appalachians, benefits from its location near Washington, D.C., fostering growth in government, technology, and defense industries. Both states have evolved from their colonial and Civil War era past into modern economic and political hubs. Whether it's the maritime culture of Delaware or the urban influence of Maryland, each state offers unique characteristics that shape its identity today. If you had to choose Delaware or Maryland to live in, which one would you pick? I'd love to hear your opinion, so please leave your feedback in the comment section below. That concludes this week's episode. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you like learning about the Earth, this is a channel to watch. So be sure to subscribe to my channel, Our World's Our Planet Our Home, to view more videos. Until next time!